This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. This the link up. This the link up. This the link up. Welcome to the link up. Oh.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Link Up Podcast with your host, Mistuh King, Kana Woods, and Rashid here in the building.
Yo.
So how's everybody doing today?
Man, tired.
Yeah. I'm alright.
I woke up today like at around 11, looked around, had a lot of stuff to do, and I was like, nope.
One of those days.
Nope. No, but like, yeah. Significant other been sick, been treated, looking after, and stuff like that.
Okay. He playing nurse.
Yeah. So
Man, say playing nerd.
I woke up a little tired today.
I'm feeling. Man, today was a chill day. Ain't really had much going on. Didn't do too much. Watching stuff online.
I envy you.
Yeah, you're in a different situation.
Yeah, almost didn't even make it.
A few more days, man.
I almost didn't even make it today.
Gotta persevere. Stay focused. Stay motivated. The finish line is in sight.
I've been saying it. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to start our first topic. If you don't have to do your masters, or if you don't know what you're going to get yourself into, get work first and then do it.
Don't rush into it.
Yeah. But with that being said, so for the first topic of this, I guess since it's quote unquote, I guess you could say my topic that I brought up.
Yeah, go ahead. Intro it. Take it away, Kana.
I saw an article on Facebook last week saying that, you know, it's already possible that it's going to be around the corner. What I mean, I saw the article, I looked at it, I didn't read it, I just saw the headline. That transgender women, and I hope I mean this correctly, and by that I mean men who turn into women, they are soon going to be able to have children. So this also means that artificial wombs will be put into them. Obviously it's going to be artificial because men don't have wombs. So now this comes with a whole debate about is it natural, as it should be, is like do we care and all that kind of things. On one point, I guess this is my topic, I'm gonna say my opinion on it first. Again, not my business. It ain't me, it ain't my body. I really should have no say in it. But the other hand is like, okay. I don't know. It's not to say I have a bad feeling about it or I think it shouldn't happen. It's just a little bit weird to me, personally.
You know, every time we talk about transgender anything,
you just think
it's always weird.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the actual definition of weird, it's just, not actual definition, but like the borderline of it is just anti-normal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just because I find it weird, this is something you're
not used to.
Yes,
but exactly.
There you go. It's a weird something I'm not used to. But this is something the LGBTQ... I was going to continue, but that
alphabet people.
I'm not going to that.
Seen the stand-up yet?
Dave Chappelle.
Good job.
That's Dave Chappelle labeled for them. But let's say more specifically the transgender community, this is something they've been looking for a minute.
Have they?
So, a lot of them want the men at least, from the documentaries and the stuff I've been seeing, want the whole experience of having a child, and those who feel that they're a woman in a man's body, this is their opportunity to go all the way and become a woman, I guess, because that was the argument about the whole thing. Like, yeah, you could take off your penis, you could add breast implants, you could do the hormones and everything, but at the end of the day, you still can't get a child.
Yeah.
Now it seems like that's going to be possible.
Okay, my question is are they already doing this? Like, is it something that's already done?
It's already been done.
Okay, it's already been done.
So the news article was about this is the first successful womb transplant or something, or was it that?
No, just more that I guess the technology getting more accessible, so now more people knowing about it, more people doing it, getting cheaper and them kind of ones. Okay. Because the original, I did small look up on it, the original articles going back from since like 2018. So I don't, this is not a relatively new topic, it seems, but I get new on my radar at least.
The only thing that, like, I have a few questions with it. Like, I'm just curious to the, what's the word, compatibility, I guess, of a womb in a man's body and how all of that is work. Like, how much of the female reproductive system are they transferring to this person to get it to hook up right? I don't know how much of it, I guess, the plumbing that exists, the existing plumbing in there.
I say like it's a car audio.
Things that connect.
Yes, exactly. Like, I don't know how much of it is compatible with a man's body.
Yo, I already have a lot of questions with the whole turning the penis into a vagina, much less the whole.
You ain't alone. You're not
Much less
alone.
the
I know that they
whole
could do
thing.
that, but that it kind of makes I could make sense of that, because I mean there is a lot of similarities between the male and female sex organ. Like when you look into really what an intersex person is, or things situations like people with a micro penis or women with like a large clits and stuff, you start to realize there's a lot more similarities between.
I mean,
like,
I know biologists, but sorry to cut you off, but a penis ain't like a bigger clit, but a clit
More
in
or
a smaller
less.
penis or something like that.
Basically, like that's kind of how you can look at it. Like if you see a chick with like a overall kind of bigger clit.
How you call it? Elongated clit?
Yeah, I guess that would be the way to say it. Yeah, if you see a chick
They
with that,
both
it
super
looks
sensitive.
kind of like a penis. Or
But that, you see, now that I
so
think
that's
about
why I'm just wondering the stuff behind it. How much of it is similar for it to be like interchangeable, that it could just work, and the womb is kind of compatible with what's on the outside. And I saw people talking about it with the aspect that women also have like wider hips, like the pelvic bone or whatever is also different to accommodate childbirth and stuff like that. So I'm like, are they accounting for this? Is there a surgery to go along with it when you get the womb transplant? You also get a hip widening or something like.
Probably gonna get there.
Okay, for all those who think was just not into the conversation, he's actually looking up shit.
Yeah. So just to make it,
I just have a lot of questions. You know?
Make it.
I ain't no judgments, just questions.
It's true. It can happen. It is possible. It's already happening. It's already been happening.
It's been done.
Yes.
All right. So now, my question.
But also successful to deliver like a child, or just that
just
okay,
put
the
the
surgery
womb.
happened and
Yeah, that was a good question.
the person was okay. Because I assume they probably tried it and it just didn't work, so that was probably some of the fails before they come and make the news. But I'm like, is the fail that the womb didn't take in some way, or that it was just not a not functional womb, or?
But then why put it in if it wouldn't be functional? Or if there's no possibility of it being functional, then it kind of
Look,
I feel him.
delivery. The survey administrators found that a high percentage of folks who reported testosterone use prior to conception had a cesarean delivery, C-section, though the difference wasn't statistically significant. It was also worth noting that 25% of people who had a C-section elected to do so, possibly due to the discomfort of feelings around their vaginal delivery.
Right. I completely forgot about the C-section.
Yeah.
yeah, me too. Actually,
That's a way around it. You don't need a vagina. You could just do that. Well, you don't got to deliver it through the vagina.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
That's true as well. But I mean, okay, no. Well, my question is, I guess, since this is something we can actually give our opinion on more, other than like just the facts of how scientifically it could work, should we consider this a topic as in, if it's not us, if it has nothing to do with us, we don't care? Or should we still care to a certain extent, because it's kind of, I don't want to say is a right, but to say that is wrong, kind of, or like they shouldn't be allowed to do it, kind of makes me feel like it's the same thing as white people telling black people, oh yeah, they can't sit down here, or they can't do this, or they can't do that. If it doesn't affect you, if it has nothing to do with you, what was the issue?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how I feel.
So no,
how I
but
feel
no.
about it.
So then my question, I guess to be more specific, my question is, how much should we mind our own business?
I mean, if it's not, like, my whole argument to life is, if it's not harming anyone else, if it's not causing anyone else's life to be affected in any type of way that's negative, that's like anything oppressive, basically, then I'm fine with it. I don't have to do it. They're not forcing it on me. So if it's not affecting anyone else's life in a negative way, or like a mass group of people, then I don't care.
But then when you say you don't care as in,
Because Kevin Hart got in trouble for saying he don't care.
No, but I mean, if you don't,
Yeah, you're right.
look,
I mean,
right?
like, so what?
You're going to go crazy emotionally and mentally if you care about everything.
Facts.
So everybody has a right to not care about shit.
There's a fuck budget. There's a limited amount of fucks every person has to give in this world.
Perfect. That's a perfect analogy, I think. But then my thing is it something that we just, especially as males, do we just stay quiet because they have not a shit to do with us, or do we still somewhat advocate to the fact that they should be able to? Or do we just keep quiet on that subject as well?
To me, it's one of those things where if you're informed on the topic, or if you're going to have an opinion on it, I'd at least prefer that you're be informed on the topic. Not saying you can't have an opinion on the topic, because everybody has. I don't have to listen to your opinion, but everybody has an opinion, basically.
Yeah.
But the way I see it, to me, is just a transition further past the
exactly.
like you say. We
Next
already
level.
know that you just take people get the dicks chopped off and get it turned into a vagina and whatnot. It's just like taking that one step further. So to me, it's not really that big of a deal.
At a certain
It is
point,
a weird way that I'm thinking, okay, so this is a man that is now giving birth.
Yeah.
Like that thought alone is something that kind of okay.
At a certain, because the whole argument, because now we're going in. Let's go deep in this weird territory that we're
Pause.
basically
You're already
not supposed to be. Like, we're not supposed to be. Sounds also very weird.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah. Yo, you got me real PC about this topic, Jan.
but at a certain point, so when does a person have to say that they're not a woman anymore, or that they're not a man anymore? You know what I mean?
It's the
Especially
same
now
thing
that
like
they
we
can
was
get,
talking
they
about
can
last week,
have
though.
kids. Like,
No,
if
not
someone
last week, the week
transitions to
before.
the point of, this is gonna sound weird, the point of no return, and you're going from a male to a female, and you can have kids, do you still have to disclose now that you were a man previously?
I'm curious. The thing about that,
That's a good
the thing
question.
about that is the one thing I don't know how it works, so I might sound ignorant on this, but I'm curious about how it works regarding the hormone therapy, because I know that's one thing that you have to keep up. Is not some is similar to like a birth control. If you don't take it, shit goes wrong. If you stop taking your hormones as a
takeover.
person who I'm like, so could it be that if you stop taking the hormones, the body starts to feel more male or something and rejects the having a womb in it, and things could go bad there? Like,
But yeah, you see now that you say that,
because the hormones is one thing that, if you do all the work and thing, you transition, you cut off the penis, you get some plastic surgery or whatever, give yourself boobs and all of that, you commit, you change your name, everything. But if you stop taking the hormones and you body kind of reverts to maybe start growing facial hair and different things that are more associated with men and having testosterone and whatever.
but
I mean, for now.
my question is to that. Now that you bring that up, is how would that affect the child or the terms of the pregnancy? Will the child come out different? Not different, but with
Will it have
the
any residual effects on the child?
yeah, because it not
It's
being
an
a
environment
natural
with all of these hormones.
quote unquote natural process. Will the duration of the pregnancy be any different for that individual?
Before we continue, like, obviously
I want to
we
watch
are
a
not
documentary on this topic. I have a lot of questions. I want somebody to explain it.
Yeah, because
there's
we
just
are
a whole lot
not
that we do
not
not
the
know.
saints of this story. We don't know.
It's just a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm very
I'm really curious about the science of it.
I curious, but at the same time, in my head, I'm asking myself, like, do you really want to know?
I'm
I mean, it's
curious just from a
interesting in terms of
scientific perspective,
biological
but like
standpoint, yeah.
like he was asking, should we have an opinion on it? Should we kind of care? Honestly, no, but in a sense, I feel yes, because similar, like how you mentioned the thing with white and black people, like that kind of example, it's a similar issue where black people could scream Black Lives Matter all the time, but if it's white cops shooting black people and white people not hearing the Black Lives Matter,
Then it kind of falls on deaf ear.
nullifies
Yep.
the purpose of it.
But that's why I asked as well. How much of a fuck should we give?
Cause that's why in certain situations, I feel like the place that men probably would take on this, if it comes up to something with trans people being a political issue and you could cast a vote or something like that, that's where I see us in this kind of maybe having to give a fuck, or it would be good if we did give a fuck and cared to some degree to at least be informed so that we could support in that kind of context. But outside of that, it don't, like you said, don't have no kind of direct bearing on our life, so we kind of should let them people speak and express their opinions and kind of let them take the lead on it, I think.
I pretty much agree with that concern. I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to support. I mean, if you don't support, that's on you.
Yeah,
that's each person's personal opinion.
You
but
don't
I
have
think
to support, but at the same time, you don't have to bash either.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the whole thing. So now,
So, sticking on this whole transgender conversation, recently something came up which really confused me, and I learned something new, which I did not even think about, but it's a possibility. So, going to Caitlyn Jenner, right?
Okay.
She wants another kid. So, I always assumed that Caitlyn Jenner
she didn't go
transitioned. No, transitioned because she was gay for men.
You late, man.
But she was gay for women, so she transitioned into becoming a lesbian.
Still liking woman, yeah. You late, man.
So she felt like a woman on the inside the whole time.
Yeah, but that was so confusing to me.
And still like woman.
That whole concept, like I never thought about it that way.
And then account to me, didn't fully transition. He still had the penis, but he likes women. He just wanted to now be on the outside, present as Caitlyn instead
he felt
of
on the inside.
Yeah. We talked about this when it was a thing. Like,
yeah, but I always thought it was just because I don't know. I always
curious. I still confused.
I always thought because I always thought he transitioned because he was gay and he wanted to be with men.
Oh no, but we had this. We had this conversation.
Was I on the?
I don't know. We had it on the podcast, but it just mean this was like public knowledge when people was discussing.
We talked about this, but we didn't talk about the fact that he still wanted to be with.
I'm pretty sure.
This is how much I try to stay away from that whole. Because like this is not the Caitlyn thing. This is just a Kardashian family thing. Like I don't involve myself.
I feel like somehow just
the only time I hear about her is when she's doing something with Kanye. Then I'm like, oh,
or having a woman or female friends. Because I feel like that's how I know most of what I know about the Kardashians. It wasn't intentional. It was like reluctantly I learned stuff about these people because even the wifey is telling me something about Kim Kardashian.
Like the thing is, my school is filled with it's 80% females, and even in that environment, I always whenever I hear like Kardashian or something, my brain just zones out. It does this for like half an hour or something like that.
I don't blame you. So I guess to wrap up,
which one would get the womb, Caitlyn or the other person?
But I mean, if he likes chick, if she
supposedly
if she likes it,
she didn't transition, so I mean she didn't do the surgery to chop off.
So she still has a penis.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
So if she have to choose, either she want the dick or she want the womb. She can't have both.
Yeah.
I think you can have both. You can have both. You just have to do a C-section at the end.
This whole implanting
so gay guys would also get
okay. You know what? I was going like wholeheartedly object to something like I some kind of biologist, but I don't see how that would work.
All the questions I had about it being compatible in the body,
because a guy had it, a legit guy that did not transition fully with a vagina was carrying a baby and did a C-section, obviously.
But wasn't that because he was born intersex or something? Like he had both. You had the balls and you had the male genitalia.
No, but usually if you're born intersex, then one organ is more functional than the other.
No, but then my whole objection and what I was saying that goes out the window because then it is possible. Because if intersex is something and you can have both the male and the female.
But like I would say, usually it's like one is kind of more formed than the other. That I don't know if there's a possibility for a combination of having like fully showing or presenting like a dick and a womb.
There's also
I know usually on the
transgender girls. This is we're going into really
transgender girls. So that means guys who turn into women.
No. There's transgender girls that they used to be guys that still have their dick, but they also put a vagina, so they have both.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one's on top?
The penis is on top, and factors.
So they got penis, vagina, asshole?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to really, really weird territory.
Like, well, how do you know of this phenomenon?
I
Like,
was doing some research and
Where?
wound up in a very dark place.
Not well. Why?
What is
Well, basically, it was this very own topic, and then I saw intersex, and I was like, "What the fuck is an intersex?" And then I clicked on it, and that's where my moral
You
was.
see, I feel like I made a stupid comment on this same topic on this podcast before. So that's why this is how I feel like we had this conversation. For those, apologize. I mean, excuse us. It's been this is the 93rd episode. We had a lot of conversations. We can't really remember everything. Please excuse us. But why I bring up the whole stupid comment, because the same comment I feel like come up in my head. The man can fuck himself. If your tool big enough, can he fuck himself?
I mean,
I would assume so.
I mean, it might not be pleasant. It might hurt because you have to bend. But technically,
I mean, if your dick is
he
already
wrecked it, how you gonna
naturally
get it
bent,
in
then
there?
maybe, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, that was a good question too.
like, you gonna have to break your dick, turn it inside.
I mean, you don't have to break your dick.
I mean, at least it could touch, but I mean, like, could you actually do anything with yourself?
Okay, pause.
I don't know.
Like I just felt like I had to say a pause there, but
don't
what I'm about to say
I don't know.
is also really weird. But we're already in
I
it,
mean,
right?
is you would.
Pause. Okay, cool.
It's so weird he got to say pause before.
Sometimes, yeah, because it's dog.
Before.
You know, it's like when you got a hard on and your dick just falls down like that. It's still hard, but it fell.
What are you gonna?
So I would assume that it would still be able to bend like that even when it's hard. I just never would try to do that with my tool because it's my tool. But I mean, if someone wants to do it,
I don't know.
This is some crazy
I have no
conversation.
comment.
Yo,
I
the
just got questions
whole
and-
implanting of a womb thing, that thing is wild. Like, okay, look.
honestly,
if you,
when
if
I
you
heard,
take
like,
it to a
when-
dark place, right?
yeah. Honestly, when I read about the intersex thing, everything else now is not that weird, man.
Yeah, but intersex is a naturally occurring
that-
No, it's not a
phenomenon.
natural. It doesn't have to be a natural occurring thing. It just has to
But
be.
not intersex is a naturally occurring phenomenon.
Like,
where
yeah,
you
it's
can be
also
born that way. So
what
like,
No,
you
but then
talking
I think
about
if you're
is
born
another
that- no.
type of thing where if
I
I'm
think when
going
you're
and
born
getting
that way, there's another word for that. That's
a hermaphrodite is the
Yes.
whole term.
Yeah.
No, it's the same thing, or it falls
that's-
under
but that's
it's
still
it's
being
under the
born that
spectrum
way.
of being
people
intersex.
that do that, like what I just read, they call themselves intersex.
I don't know what that is that you just described. I know intersex is being
I'm
a
just telling you, that's
hermaphrodite.
when I clicked on the article from the whole pregnancy birth thing.
Maybe that's a new spin on
how
it.
about this-
and I ain't up on it.
This is
That could
thing.
be
This
a
is.
thing.
Hey, yes, we should raise it up here.
No, I'm all in my head because my mind running.
I think, but they would be.
This
They would
is the
be.
second time you got off your sheet. Lord,
Oh,
but-
sorry, I didn't hear.
I was thinking on the whole implanting of the womb thing, and not even the fact that I have to do with transgenders, but like take it to a dark place, right? Let me create the scenario.
Oh God.
All right, so you got extreme feminists, right? Don't like men. Start abducting them, implanting wombs into him
Wow.
as punishment.
What the fuck with she? What the fuck? Yo, I just really tried not to cuss no more on this podcast, but what the flying fuck, dog?
Wow. Okay. Okay.
What?
I'm sorry.
I don't give them ideas, but
Yeah, no,
because my brain ain't went there.
Yo,
My one did.
Imagine, no, but for real. On that same thing, imagine that. You know how, like, in China and in Asia, the kind of places, you could go, you know, get
Buy
drunk,
organs and stuff like that?
wake up, you know, you're missing a kidney or some shit.
Fine.
Imagine you wake up, you have a womb. You know,
And you
That's what I'm
pregnant.
saying. And you pregnant.
Yeah, because they ain't gonna get just half a womb. They gonna make you pregnant one time.
Continuing down this dark
But
road,
that, I mean,
right? Continuing down this dark road.
Yo!
We just now finding out about this, or it's now being made public. Is now being they having all the press releases or whatever and all of these things. Okay, not now because
But
like
this
you
is
say,
only- it's up on our radar.
this is a whole thing, but now
Okay.
because it's gonna be
We've seen
easy.
it now.
but
So
okay, but from now, what was happening before? Like at some point they had to be researching and trial and stuff like that. Were they inserting wombs into lab rats to test it to see if it would sustain in a human body, or at some point did they go into human trials that were just kind of off the books?
I mean, I would assume that they started with a female rat and put the innards in a male rat to see if that would work. And once they've trialed and errored it like for a million times, they then found
but
guinea
I'm
pigs.
thinking at some point when you get into the human trials, that's the part that
that's
I'm
why you have
even
people
get the
sign
go-to
the
try the
contract,
unhuman.
you know.
people was making chimeras and doing all kind of trying to make chimeras and all kind of crazy shit. Like,
You know, like the biggest, like the most information that we got from human like biologies and stuff like that was during the most
fucked up type of
fucked
stuff.
up period in our history was during the World War II with all
Nazi
this
stuff.
Nazi scientists and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Very
Germans in
interesting read.
particular regarding the chimeras and all kind of all kind of crazy shit they were supposedly researching.
A lot of the scientists say
occult technology, like
there must be
esoteric
sacrifices in the name of
wisdoms and-
science, but that's all. Yo, imagine that you really want to fuck up a party, you gonna mash him up or kill him or nothing. Give him a pregnant womb.
But I mean the logistics
Man,
into
we
that,
have
right?
periods every month.
That's crazy.
No,
The
but you know that
logistics,
thing-
the logistics that goes into that, like abducting the
Does
person.
it come with periods?
Find that.
No, it shouldn't come with. It couldn't come because when
No.
you're
No,
pregnant,
yes,
you don't get
because the
periods
period
no
is
more.
the cleansing. You know, like
so it wouldn't come with periods no more. So you won't have to worry
Yeah,
about
but
that.
if you get in the womb, if you get in the womb,
but then you're not getting the.
no, but if you
the
already
egg.
insert,
Yeah.
okay, just
I'm
based
not
on my-
talking about they being pregnant. Just the fact that you. Basically, I'm just wondering would you get pregnant as because once you have the womb transplant, just in general, you would get pregnant periods as well.
I don't
No.
think so.
If you
Because
if
No,
you
because
don't
you
produce
need
the eggs.
the because the way the periods
fallopian
work, you
tubes
need
and all that.
the fucking air stuck. I don't remember
Yeah.
the name in English right now. That
Fallopian tubes,
yeah,
kinda
yeah.
say.
And that's what triggers the whole process of.
Right.
This is why I'm asking how much of the behind plumbing are you getting during
Yo,
this
it's
thing
a
to
relevant
make it
question. No, it's
compatible?
definitely a
'Cause I don't
relevant
know.
question.
I assume they put
If
it
you
in
can
the
get
womb
pregnant-
pregnant already.
I wouldn't assume that.
That's not what I would assume either.
Because like certain things, I'm not
That's
sure.
just our fuck up. That's our fuck up situation.
I assume it's either something like that, or they put in the womb and they impregnate.
Artificial
The person-
insemination. Yeah, that's how I would.
Because
I
there's
would- I
no
would-
eggs.
I would think that
the-
would be my assumption as well. If this is a good thing for the audience. If any of you know more knowledge on this,
Yeah, we need a doctor, a biologist.
feel free
not,
to
not
comment.
any, not any type of doctor. This is some
Yeah,
next level
I know,
ass
I know.
shit. So
Feel free to comment on whether you see this on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube.
I would
If you
love
have
it.
more information, leave us know. If you know where we could find more information,
Y'all don't
King
know
and
nobody
Woods
that
say they-
studied this stuff?
Huh?
'Cause y'all don't know nobody that studied this stuff? 'Cause, like, I would love to have somebody that's like an expert in these
I
things
know
to have
people
on
that
the
is-
I
podcast.
have doctor friends, but
Yeah, I have people that learn to study in the lab and shit like that. I don't necessarily know if they have things to do with biology specifically like that.
If
but-
y'all know anybody that studying in these fields, let us know. I would love to have them on the
Hey,
podcast.
I'm gonna single out somebody specifically because she might know. Rahima, if you're watching this episode and you have any specific information, leave us know.
What's she to study?
Can't exactly remember, but it's something
this
really
man just said
scientific.
like he.
wanna say that?
No, why? Because I don't have these kind of conversations with Rahima sometimes. So that's why I know if anybody would, that I know at least if anybody would know, it would be her.
I feel.
So that's why I'm singling her out specifically. But anybody else that have any idea of this, because we
kind of ignorant.
we
I'd like some
intrigued.
information.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're willing to
Very
come on
much
the
so.
podcast and disseminate with us and our audience, I think it'll be a dope episode. Could be very informative.
All right. I think so. I think we all, I guess, more or less set up
Transgendered.
Transgendered.
on what?
It was a joke.
It's
I
a
didn't
miss.
catch it.
It's a miss.
Nah, you gotta speak for yourself on that with big. But since we had I guess me and King was talking about this before. Unless you have any other specific topics I want to get into, we had touched on the Kardashian people. And last week I saw there was a clip going around on the news outlets I look at. There was a whole big thing with Scott, who's married to one of the least popular ones, Kardashians.
Was Khloe?
No,
They're
not
not
Khloe.
married anymore, are they?
Oh, he have a child with Kim, Khloe, Courtney. Courtney. No, fuck.
The oldest one.
Anyway,
Conrad.
with one of them Kardashian chicks, Scott with,
It's
like he
Courtney.
have like 2 or 3 children with.
It could be Conrad, okay?
It's Courtney.
Conrad could be one of the Kardashians.
With a
I'm
K.
just saying.
Look right. Anyway, so then they was having a conversation with the mother, Kris Jenner, and her boyfriend. And the conversation came to a point where the boyfriend said if Scott's child scratched him on his face, that he would reprimand her. And that was a whole big something because Scott was like, you gonna hit my child, and who's you to hit my child, and this and this and that. And I was seeing the conversations on, and like in the comments, be like, yeah, he just come from an old school, or the boyfriend who said it, he come from an old school parenting background where like
striking the child,
yeah, striking the child was you know, seemed as proper
normal
punishment. Whereas nowadays, there's a whole bunch of research and stuff saying that you shouldn't hit your child, and there's a whole bunch of child services and all that kind of shit now. What are you think first about reprimanding your children again, and two, about somebody else hitting your child?
Before you answer those questions, did we talk about this before? Like just the
Yes,
general concept of beating your children?
I think we did.
Because it felt familiar, but we wasn't sure 100%.
I think we did.
And then we
talk a little
divulged
bit about
into
it,
talking
yeah.
about how we used to get licks when we were small.
Yeah, that. Oh, yes, and then we had the whole shoe and stuff like that, and the mothers being able to bench it around corners.
Yeah.
Yes, we did have that. Okay, so now since we had that conversation already, let me be more specific. How are you feel about just other people hitting your child then?
Cause that, to me, is an obvious answer there in a way. If I ain't hitting my child, you damn sure ain't hit my child.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is a product of me, this is my DNA, blood and whatnot. Who's you? And if I ain't put my hands on this child,
Okay.
I mean, and
So
if
then-
you're grown up and you can't punish a child in a way that doesn't involve you manhandling the child
Physically,
for some
yeah.
reason, then
Is there any? Let me ask this then.
I don't know about that part when you say that, but
Wait. No, let's get into this.
Yeah, I mean, why? What?
because like I do get the sentiment or idea of what you're trying to say with that, but to me it's like there's certain people, there's certain children, or there's certain parents who would argue with certain children. It's kind of like at some point you have to, or the child might get to a certain age where it's like they rebellious and they don't want to listen, and the words ain't enough, so you got to go a step beyond that. I'm not saying it has to automatically go to that, but there's some people in certain scenarios that suggest that they have to beat the child because like the child just won't listen.
No other way. Yeah.
But I mean, how
And to me,
effective-
I'm not anti it
Yeah.
completely. I'm not saying I'm not for abusing a child. To me, I don't
Yeah, but there's a
see
difference
myself.
between
hitting
punishment
and
and abuse.
I don't see myself like abusing the child or hitting them regularly or it being the go-to type of method. But I could potentially see myself maybe being in a situation where it's like the words ain't work. I don't know, honestly. Like I know myself, and it's like I'm not a confrontational, violent person
Yeah,
in
the thing
any
is,
other
like, I've
situation.
never
So it's like
fought
I don't
before.
see myself hitting my
Going
child
back to
like
this
that.
conversation, I've never fought before. All
Yeah.
every altercation that I've ever been in, I've somehow managed to talk my way out of it, some way, somehow. And I can't imagine myself not being able to handle my child in a certain type of way, because at the end of the day, it just adds up to how you've raised your child. And if you can't handle the child and you're hitting the child, that means that whatever happened in the growing up process of that kid, something went wrong. Most likely could have been something that you did or something the child experienced
That you don't know about.
that you don't know about. But whatever the situation is, there's always a way to calm it down without someone needing to be hit.
Do you feel, because you in a similar situation for me, but I hear there's many people who have been beat who constantly say like, I'm who I am now, or I'm this good or whatever because of it.
I'm one of those.
And I've heard people also say the response to that is no, not because of it, in spite of it type of thing.
Yeah.
That you were hit and stuff like that, and it's not that the beatings, it's not because of the beatings it made you a good person. It's like you got the beatings, and in spite of being abused, you managed to become a good person. That's not that the beatings directly correlates to your trajectory and you being a good person. That's kind of the rebuttal I've heard used. I'm not saying
Abuse is a strong word.
You want to go first, Kana?
I don't know, Jack, because me personally, I can't sit on here and say that I was like, I used to get a lot of licks as a child. I used to get more pinches from my mother. But at the same time, the times that I did get hit or the times that I did get pinched, it was for a good reason. And I knew never to, okay, well, not never, but if I had to be in that situation again, I definitely thought twice. Be like, yo, if this happens, this is going to be my repercussions. It's the same thing that everybody give the analogy about a child touching a stove. And to me, it's valid. You touch the stove, you learn, it hot, it hurts you, learn not to do it again.
My only question there is, did the beating just hammer home the message, or was it essential for the message to be received? That's the kind of place I'm trying to figure out. Whereas, like, are you good because or in spite of? Was the beating or the pinching necessary to hammer the message home, or could I not have accomplished the same thing through words?
Kind of going off of what...
Did we exhaust all options with words and things like that?
But what are you going off? I can't remember exactly who it was, if it was King or Woods that had said that some parents... Oh, no, King, you had said that some parents feel that it needs to happen to some children. I was one of those kids. If my mother had just sit me down and be like, yes, Sean, you shouldn't have do this and this and that, one ear out the other, I doing the same shit again. So that's why I could say, from my personal experience, the licks definitely helped. Because I was a doting ass child. I would have definitely done some dumb shit again. And I feel that those licks prevented me from doing dumber shit and going down a more retarded road.
And those would be the situation that I just find curious, where it's like...
Not saying that she couldn't I'm not by it. My mother, maybe my brother, my sister, but with me, if my mother had just told me, yeah, Sean, don't do that again, I would have do it again. The licks definitely helped forward me and helped just hammer the message home.
Because there's also the theory that when it comes to teaching, like, using physical ways to discipline your child, it basically teaches them, it kind of sends mixed signals in the sense that, you know, this the person that they're supposed to receive love from or whatever. I'm not saying necessarily with your type of, if when you go and beyond, when you get the switches and the belts and electric cards and all kind of shit, like that's some, I don't want to say black household, because I've heard these things outside the black community, but I mean, you know, it kind of gets serious in the black community.
But I would, not just the black community, because the Spanish community tends to, the Indian community tends to.
Chancla?
But yeah, chancleta.
My bad.
That's slippers by them. I personally see slippers by Bancano, so. Them Latinos been doing Wanted before Wanted come out. But I don't know, but because even like what Woods was saying before, I get hit and stuff like that, and I'm the same, not necessarily the same. I've had my altercations and stuff like that, but if anybody that asks around me, you would never really hear, oh yeah, Sean was fighting this, Sean was part of that, Sean. I was not brought up to be offended with, and I was still getting licks too.
It's an interesting thing when you look at the dynamic, just sharing a podcast, for example. Woods identifies as somebody who ain't never getting a fight before, who never was in that type of situation. I am pretty much the same way. And but the correlation is both of us was never beat growing up, pretty much. So then it makes you think that there might be some validity to the fact that when you're taught violence from a young age or whatever, it kind of becomes a cycle more or less, or at least you exhibit some of those things. I'm not saying you was the biggest hood nigga or whatever out there, but you got into your situations and stuff.
Was it.
Like, but you've got into your situation and thing, and anger, dealing with anger and different things like that. And it's like, that leads me to think there might be some validity to the thing that, yeah, you just you teaching this person to deal with their problems or solve their problems through violence. That's where the kind of corporal punishment, that's the message it sends.
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree with that, because
but it's easy for me to say that being somebody who was never hit. That's why it's just,
you never get licks before?
Like, there might have been one situation, but not really. Like,
there's two things I want to add with that. But first, what we're saying, I going to say this like had nothing to do with my mother. Every single time I get licks, it was well deserved. As a matter of fact, the only reason I get licks was because I got away with it at least 2-3 times prior, and my mother had enough. So,
and I'm not saying that is not true, but I'm like, what you're saying is a lot of things that happen with people where it's kind of like, you don't want to say your mother's a bad person. Nobody really wants to think of the person that gave birth to them, provided for them, all other things mothers don't get enough credit for. You don't want to think of this person in that negative light. I'm not saying that, like, it's just
like, like she did it just because she was upset one day, or it wasn't deserved, or there's another way.
You're rationalizing her beating you, basically.
Because I feel I had deserved it.
Okay, but I don't know.
Okay, but apart from that, what I also was going to say is something my mother had say a while ago that had kind of still resonate with me to this day. And I want to hear your opinions on this, because to me is a little interesting something. There's a difference between a man hitting a child and a woman hitting a child. Where my mother point was, at least, because women are known to be more or less in general kind-hearted and nurturing and stuff like that. If they have to reach that far, they would hit the child, or they would pinch, or they would discipline in a physical way, and then maybe console them or ting with them. Whereas the male side, a lot of the times we don't know our own strength. And with the physical hitting of the child, that could be a little bit more serious and have more serious repercussions for the child itself.
Nah.
So when she had said to me it makes sense.
And I'll tell you why.
To me it makes sense.
Or no. It makes sense in certain conditions. That's the right way to say it. The reason I would say it doesn't make sense is because my biggest thing is, if this is a grown-ass woman, grown-ass man, and this is a 2-year-old, it don't make no difference who hit that child. They both way stronger than that child. Yes, the man might be stronger than the woman, but they both way stronger than that little 2-year-old child. So whoever hit her is going to be significant and could have the potential to be traumatic or whatever to me, just from a logical standpoint. Like, if the child, as the child ages and stuff like that, to me, then usually you stop beating the child when it get to the ages where it would really matter, the strength difference between the mother and father hitting the child. To me, at that point, you shouldn't be hitting the child anymore. When it gets to the point where, like, the child's strong enough to really be like, okay, you know, if let's say it's a boy child or whatever, at a certain point, that child, his mother little pinches or whatever might not really do nothing. So, okay, I understand. But to me, if the child is at that point, you shouldn't be hitting this child. This child is at the point where they should be intelligent enough to understand reason and logic and shit like that. You shouldn't be hitting this child anymore. Cause I'm thinking around puberty type of thing. That's when a son might get taller than his mother and stuff like that. They might be like, okay, you know, your mother can't really do nothing no more. But until then, to me, a mother's perfectly strong enough for...
you never had those instances where your mother pinched you and you had to pretend like it hurt just to, like, you know, take her own feelings? Nah. So you don't get more licks, so you can just have it finished and go about your way?
But it reached a point where she started swinging and I was just dodging it like it's Matrix. And I started to laugh. I was like...
But that's the worst thing, you don't get her more vexed, man. That's like running.
She started to laugh too.
I think the thing is, like, with my mom specifically, like... Because I'm only child, I don't know if that also makes a difference. But like, my mom would talk to me everything. Like, it get to the point that when I would go to school, I already knew before I even reach in the gates of the school what my mother gonna say, the driveway. Always remember to say hi to the blah, 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 blah. Don't steal. Remember, don't forget what your cousin, don't forget what your older cousins did. You don't want to end up like them. Blah, blah, blah. So I had that talk almost every day for like almost 19 years, dog. So like, for me, it was, if I did something, it was just like, cause I'm most likely my mom talked about it. Drugs, whatever it is, my mom talked with me about it. So if I was, whenever I came into a situation, for example, like someone told me to hold a gun, before the gun even come into my hand, I read my mother in the car just talk with me, Joel, don't forget this, don't do this, remember what your cousins did, blah, blah, blah. So I always had, like, I knew, okay, if I'm going to do something bad, I'm going to disappoint my mother. Because I already knew what she thought about a certain conversation or certain anything, because she always would advise me about stuff before I even think about it. So that's my thing.
I had similar situations with my mother. Like, it was a similar dynamic, but it was a little less talking to me and more talking at me. In the sense that
but that's a lot of Caribbean parents.
It's just lectures. It's like my mother goes on a rant. She starts talking. She cussing about the fact that I didn't wash the dishes, and now she cussing about everything else that's wrong in the world.
Let me ask this: you ever realize, or you ever?
And then she go in her room. I think she done this. She come back. She continue to cussing because she still has too much. Once she was like, no, she's steaming in there still.
You ever realize, or you ever notice yourself giving those same lectures to your friends? Or lecturing yourself in the same way like how your mother used to lecture you?
I have caught myself saying different things that directly direct quotes from my mother. I've used some.
I definitely have that with my
as
father.
I've aged and stuff like that. I definitely realized
got that from my father.
or like living with the wifey, sharing space, like cleaning up after. Like there's some moments where it's like, okay, I understand what my mother was going through now.
That shit frightened me like not so long ago, especially because like in my family on my mother's side, my mother is the youngest. So I have the youngest cousins, and I have cousins that are like around 50, 60. No. Yeah, reaching 50. Some of them are like in the 50s already. My grandmother and grandfather had 10 kids, so just keep that into perspective.
I mean, they had no TV. What else you do?
Most people grandparents have a lot of kids.
So,
yeah, my grandmother had 8, and God knows how much my grandfather had.
Great grandparents for me.
So recently, like, how do you call the kids of your cousins? Your cousins?
Your cousins.
Yeah.
Second cousins.
Yeah.
If it's so like for instance, if your mother, sister, your aunt, your mother, sister, your aunt, if she have a child, that's your cousin. That's your first cousin.
Yeah.
If that child have a child, that's your second cousin.
Okay. So my second cousins, like they were like, some of them follow me on Instagram and like they see like DJ stuff and they want to be DJs. They're like around like 11, 12, 13, some of them. And like I caught myself like becoming my mother for like a second and like telling them like, watch out for this, watch out for that, blah blah blah. And then I catch myself like, yo, this is my mother talking.
I don't catch myself doing that too, but what that saying is like, I guess to just wrap it up more or less, I feel like it has to be there's a combination of both. I feel like as me going to be who wants to be a potential parent and stuff like that, I think I would have a little mixture of both. I would try to be more of the talking type and stuff like that, but I feel in some situation they can only learn one way, John.
Who don't hear this feel, that type of thing. Who don't hear this feel?
That type. And I don't know if that just because that's how I was more or less brought up. Again, not to say like I used to get hit a lot because my mother used to try to talk more, but there were some instances I wouldn't have learned any other way. So I don't know if that's why I feel like I would have that parenting style, but I guess it depends too on the mother, because it's not just me.
Yeah,
it have to be a gap, a bridge between the two of us. So maybe by then I'll be able to find like a better middle ground, so to say. But I feel it is the best way is a balance, because from what I hear from King, what I hear from Woods, like both of us on different perspectives, and all three of us come out pretty much. 4 of us come out pretty decent. Like we could have gone a lot worse. And both of us, and all 4 of us had different, more or less, upbringings to a certain extent.
I'm saying, like, I'm just curious whether it's like the because of or in spite of.
So that's why
like,
I feel if it's a balance or more on the talking side at least. I mean, why not?
My standpoint on it just comes from like, aside from personal experience and how I was raised, to me it's just like also the correlation as to where this whole thing of corporal punishment came from, particularly in the black community. I don't care about what other people doing. But to me, I just can't help but see the correlation to that and slavery. When you think generationally, how was your grandparents getting beat? When you think on the severity and stuff, how it went along generationally, when you hear your parents talk about how they used to get beat and your grandparents, it just went, it was worse and worse.
Yeah, as it goes back.
Yeah, the further back you go. And at some point you get to, okay, where did we learn this form of teaching, basically, or trying to instill discipline and stuff like that? At some point you hit slavery, and I can't help but see a correlation there. And to me, I don't want to perpetuate nothing that I could see, so in my opinion, clearly that has ties to something like that. So why would I want to continue that? That's my logic on it. Why
I could
a big part of why why I wouldn't do that.
I could. Okay, then this is a question I wanted to hit, but we had thing off. Is there ever, do y'all feel there's ever a time for that type of punishment? Or do you feel like there's always a way, there's always words that can be said in self?
Like in my situation, again, because
he went through his whole life without it.
I've never fought before, and I've come into instances where other people would have like,
no, but we're talking about other people. We're talking about your mother and them was like, is there ever a situation to reprimand a child?
I can't answer that. For me, it's obviously no, because I've never.
To me, that's even like harder, or is even more amplified. Because like, if I fight other people who's not blood to me, if I could find some way to avoid putting the hands on or getting the hands put on myself from somebody who's not my blood, to me, there should be even more drive and motivation to be able to resist that urge when this is your child, this is your flesh and blood, something that you supposedly, I would imagine, you love. I don't understand how, to me, it's hard to rectify, I can't find the word, come to terms with, I guess, you loving this person and then hitting her, like, I think if there's a reflection of me, I'm reasonably logical person that you can talk to and understand and shit like that. You don't need to yell at me and none of those things. I don't like to yell at people. I'm usually the most soft-spoken person here on the podcast. Like, volume-wise, I know they can't hear volume difference because I edit. But if they actually were here in this room, I'm generally speaking the most quiet person. I don't like yelling and all of that. So I can't imagine myself yelling or even getting to the point where I probably might yell at some point. I mean, we all have our limits and stuff. We all have our limits and stuff. Even me at some point. I might yell at my child, but I just can't imagine coming to the point where now I'm putting hands on them.
If my child is anything
because the way you say, like, I feel there is some truth to I'm a man. I get the logic of letting the woman discipline the child type of thing, but it still would be just as when you hear girls talk about their mother getting beat from their mother and shit. Some people have very negative associations with that, and it's like the mother inflicts just as much psychological trauma and shit on the child as a man. So to me, it makes no difference with a child as at the age that where a child would get beat.
But
and to me, that's the only other time I can see it, because with a young child who, if you can't understand language, if you literally can't speak and I can't communicate with you and stuff like that yet, that is the only period in my mind when it's like, I get why a tap on the hand or something like that, that makes sense to me.
Again, we ain't talking about like
pulling out the belt and
belt, bamboo, kitchen wire, clothes hanger, pot, pan, spoon, wooden spoon, slipper, remote, or more or less whatever your brother could put their hands on. But I don't know if this is just for me personally. If my child, whether it's daughter or son, anything like me, why they gonna need licks here and there?
Yeah, I kind of on your.
They gonna need licks here and there.
Kind of on your wavelength with that. I guess for me, like a little bit of licks is kind of normalized for me.
Yeah,
I the oldest of 4, and like my sister used to get licks when she was younger, and my brother would be outside hearing the licks, counting them, and then going inside telling my mother 8 or whatever number it was.
I ain't gonna lie.
It was kind of normalized, but it's like, I don't feel now like there's never a reason to really put your hands on a child like that. Like, that's just aggression on your part. Like, having younger siblings like that, I catch myself even wanting to, like, when I have to watch them or when they frustrate me, or I don't want to put my hands on them too, but then I would be like, nope, can't do that. Or my mother would be like, don't hit your siblings. End up flicking them instead, which was effective for a while. But yeah, I would say nah.
One thing I would say that I also think is another theory that kind of adds to it is it was a situation that kind of I realized on an episode of Full House. It was there was an episode where one of the daughters crashed a car through the house.
Fun fact, I did that. Continue.
And I was just thinking,
that's story on the next episode.
And I was just thinking, like, wow, look at the reaction of Danny Tanner at these children who crashed the car through the kitchen, destroyed, like, I couldn't imagine what would happen to me. Even me as a person, like, I still knew that my mother was not to be played with, even though I say she not, like, I know she was going to kick me out of the house and shit. Like, I know there was some severe consequence that might not have been being beat. And for me, kicking out of the house was the worst thing, because I didn't want to live nowhere else. There was nobody else. No family members, and nothing. I could say, I don't want to live with you. I don't want to live. No. So this is the best option I have. Let me write it out till now. But basically, the point of what I'm getting to is, like, I personally think finances plays a huge role into it, and that just coming from the perspectives of patience. When you think of somebody who's coming from a 9 to 5, who now coming home to watch after a child and stuff, potentially a physically demanded, if it's not like an educated person that has a desk job or something like that. You work in a 9 to 5, you physically tired, you coming home now to watch after this child, and just the type of severity that you're going to come down on somebody with is going to be completely different when you don't have that money to make it work. When you're in a decent family, if you could crash through the thing and I got all the insurance covered, I got money in the bank saved up to put aside,
the first thing
then I could just think, oh, this is just, are you okay?
Yeah, that's going to be the first thing.
Are you okay?
I mean, okay, as a parent, either way, that should be your first question.
Yeah, but I'm living check to check, and we can't get the house repaired or something. Now the house have a hole in it for years and years from now. Like, when you're thinking about that kind of that strain mentally on a person that comes from being in poverty or in a bad financial situation, which happens a lot in a lot of black communities, is not necessarily the most. Not everybody can't speak on, because, you know, we're not a monolith type of thing. People different. There are black rich people, but for a lot of black people, it's not the best circumstances financially. If you have a single parent household where it's like that other level of stress because only this person to watch a child type of things, I get a lot more of where that extra frustration comes that might result in you hitting this child. That, to me, that further proves why it's wrong. That is not legitimate. That I'm trying to discipline you. This is anger I'm exerting on you in a lot of situations. I can't speak on your situation or whoever else that were disciplined and physically hit by their parents. It's up to them to kind of reflect and see if maybe what I'm talking about kind of resonates with their household situation, and maybe there was some time the mother came home from work and some was upset.
External factors.
Yeah.
I see what you mean with that. I don't know, but that's why I say it to each. You gotta know for yourself what kind of parent you.
I scratch my mother can. I had to work to pay that back. I know that wasn't no like, oh Gary, you okay? And it's no, like, although I was at a different age.
But you see, my mother is a little bit different. Cause as much as I used to piss her off and stuff like that, I think I was one of her most headaches growing one. Yeah, between me and my brother, but. Like, I have been in messed up situations and car accidents and stuff like that as well. With my mother, legit was like, at least you're alright. Meanwhile, I know she had to like go through a whole bunch of financial shit, go back, like her insurance went up and all kind of shit. And while she didn't cost
I'm not
me,
saying my mother didn't care. I was okay. I mean, it wasn't that serious.
I ain't saying no, but my
situation. Your situation.
Okay,
is different.
you know at least two of my accidents. We will have an accident part. We'll have an accident episode of the podcast. But I don't know. Like my mother, the disappointment. I know she felt was worse than any physical stuff she could have done to me, but that's because I had reached at that age where I had no more. I had the bills that she had to pay, the stuff she had to go through and stuff like that. I had more knowledge of it, so that's why that hit me more. That I was more disappointed. I think I was more disappointed in myself than she was in me. That I disappointed her.
Yeah, you reached the point of having sympathy for your mother.
So I understand where you come from. There should be always a way to talk or go around it or try to at least get your point across. But at the same time, with that situation where I said earlier, that was me older. That was me having the more like I said, knowledge. Back then, smaller Sean, licks he needed.
I also think another factor is emotional intelligence. That also kind of plays into education and socioeconomic status as well. People, it can sound fucked up, but stupid people more quickly to anger or more quickly to resort to violence because I don't know the way how to think out of a situation.
I can't process my emotions. I don't know how to process my emotions.
So it's like, I don't know how to get a thing. Let me just do something. And again, like, I hate to sound like I sound so negative on the black community, but all of these things is when you know it's an impoverished community that doesn't got the best situations. You might see some of these things happen.
I don't feel that you talking negatively about the black community. You're just talking about the community that you're more in touch with, because it's not just the black community that's impoverished and stuff like that. You're just talking about what you have
examples I've seen.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's all. You can only speak on your experiences. You check.
Boy, this whole conversation about anger management and stuff like that made me reminded me of 2 years ago.
Oh.
What happened 2 years ago?
We ever talk about that on the podcast?
I don't think we have.
I think we did not. You ever heard a story about when we almost fight on the knock bus coming home? When we was with me, Jody Woods.
It's sounding kind of familiar, but I'm not sure.
Yes,
is it a long story? Is it a long story?
We did. It's when the panel had spit on me.
Rashid, that's not familiar to you?
No, Rashid was no. This is way before Rashid.
If he saw the episode or something like that.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure we. But you see, that's a difference. That's a funny.
We got like 2 minutes for you to summarize it.
It's still me.
If you want to get into it.
But
if I wasn't there,
but people, that's the thing. But people don't know how much energy that took out of me and Bob to not bust this man head.
I know.
And the only reason we gonna get into this, this will be us. I'm going to go back and check to see if we ever did talk about it, because it's gonna be this episodes before a sheet, and if we didn't, I'm gonna bring it up on the podcast at the time. Then we could discuss it, because they have a whole bunch of elements in it. Like what was saying, that it have some things with emotional intelligence. They have a lot of shit with patience. They have a lot of stuff with who he was around, because like Woods was saying, if he wasn't there, we probably would have fight this man. And then if Jody wasn't there, that would have might have been a whole something as well. And then that's a whole something. So we could get into that next time. But anything else I want to close it off?
I'm just thinking it was interesting that we tackled 2 topics. We had a list full of shit to talk about. How we get to 2 topics in
I was just here checking the notes like, boy, this bill.
2 timestamps. Intro and switch conversation.
But I don't know. I feel we touched on a lot of important aspects in these 2 topics.
Yeah, man. I don't mind. I personally don't mind when it's like this, and then when you're probably able to flush out a topic versus when it's just like, okay, we just said that and then moving on. We just got like, we don't really have no opinions or none to really say about it.
I didn't feel like talking about Kanye West doing a church album. I really don't care.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of stuff. Maybe on the next episode, we're going to tackle some of the residual stuff from this episode, but I'm curious about Kanye's album, just because it's Kanye's album.
I mean, I assumed you and Woods would, but
honestly, I didn't even know a lot about that at all, because
Jesus is king.
Yeah, he's supposedly only making gospel
it's coming out. I don't
Yeah.
know what it's gonna sound like, but if
you
it's
already
Jesus
know my stand on religion, and so we're not even going
Yeah,
on
but this
that.
is interesting because you like Kanye.
if it's Jesus,
But you're
if it's Jesus
anti-religion.
walks, and
So
if
it's
it's
interesting.
I mean, I like the
correlation
song
to
Jesus
agree.
Walks.
did you
but
hear Ultralight Beams off of The Life of Pablo? Was Ultralight Beams not a great song, regardless of it being religious or a Christian gospel?
I like Jesus Walks. Remember, I just said that. Like, I like the
Kanye
song.
has made good music when he gets in his gospel bag. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'm curious to see how it comes out. If he gives us like 12 Ultralight Beams and Jesus Walks, I'm not mad at him.
I'm sorry, I couldn't leave that one go. I couldn't leave that one go.
I'm not mad at it. That's
That's
all
a
I'm gonna
past
say.
tense of Jesus walking, you know?
All right,
Plural, not a past tense, plural. But yeah, people, we've been here for an hour, and a little past time that people say they had appointments for and thing, so I think we can just wrap up this episode.
Plugs.
This Thursday, we have a party at Club Nix.
That's Thursday.
That's this Thursday. So when this episode comes out, that's going to be tomorrow. So tomorrow, there's the episode coming out.
The pressure is on. Make sure the edit is on time.
Now you put an extra pressure on the cake. That would have to be up.
So yeah, Thursday we have a party in Club Nix for those that want to experience a Caribbean Latin, because there's three
different rooms.
3 rooms with different type of music. Downstairs is hip hop, R&B, dancehall. Upstairs is Latin, more Latin, but you still get like a little bit of dancehall and stuff like that. And the 3rd floor is the toilet, but there's also DJ playing music there. So
Yo,
The 3rd floor is the toilet.
Wait. Look, we got some time. No, we don't got time for me to actually properly elaborate on this fucking setting of this club, right? Next
People
week,
are jumping in the toilets. That's what it sounds like. But all right, if that's what y'all into.
yo, after I gonna say it on the podcast, but after we finish recording, I gonna explain you the layout, and then we gonna see if it makes sense for us to go into it next week. Maybe we could give the listeners an idea. But this is the strangest club I have ever been to. Let me just put it there. But other than that, just like every week, Monday night, Curious in
John
Doe. Thank you. Wow. You be paying attention, I'm glad.
I mean, it's a regular thing now. Right?
But yeah, so every Monday, if y'all want to come, you have nothing else to do, or you want you extend your weekend, we in John Doe. Doors open up at 11 till the club's closes at 4. Same thing, hip hop, R&B. You even get a little bit of soca for my Caribbean people. Dance hall as well. So yeah,
and you got some special thing for artists and people who doing time. Remember some Woods or somebody was saying something about that John Doe, like
oh yeah, because it's Monday
free for artists or rappers or something. I don't know, something like that you saying.
No, it's just what I was saying is basically like for parties on Mondays. It's usually for people that either are organized just like us. Because on Mondays you don't really throw a party, so usually you're free until the weekend. Soccer players and stuff like that, they don't have to play on Mondays and stuff like that because they're usually off around that time. So you tend to have those type of people. So people that entertainers, DJs that actually don't play on a Monday, they come on a party on a Monday because like they want to go out without the tendency of having to perform or something like that.
I feel it. Makes sense, no? Makes sense.
So that's every Monday. Next week, I believe we could start saying stuff about ADE.
Yeah, next week. Actually, we could start.
Yeah.
No, but let's.
I haven't been as involved as I should have been. So let me get back on. Let me finish this school stuff, and then I'm gonna be able to give more information on that next week. So look out for ADE information. For those of you who don't know, Amsterdam Dance Event is a really big. Mini type festival, something like that.
No, it's huge. It's big.
Amsterdam.
I say mini festival because it's only big. It's only like a span of 4 days, 3 days.
That's a normal thing for a
like
festival.
Festivals are sometimes a day.
Yeah, that's a normal thing.
All right. Either way, big parties, and yeah, it should be decent. So we'll give out more information about that if y'all want to join, and that's it for me.
Only thing I got to add is stream all the Tree Conscious Cats and Mistuh King music that is out already. You know, all the stuff from FBR to Is You Real, Is You Crazy, Real is a separate song. Everything else by the Tree Conscious Cats, and as well as we got new music. The project is still being worked on, tentatively titled the Mistuh King LP. But that's just a working title. That name could change. That name don't really mean nothing.
You gonna change it for LP Mistuh King? You switched the name.
The project by Mistuh King is just a self-titled album so far currently, but I don't know. I still might come up with something better. So be on the lookout for that in the near future. Let me not say near, but be on the lookout for that in the future. Who knows when it might be coming. That's all I got.
Yep, nothing else. It.
Alrighty then. So with all of that being said, we'll see you peoples the next time we link up.
Bless.
Yay.